Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Podcast. Recording here late night on Friday, getting ahead of this Saturday slate here in the NBA. We got 12 games that we're running through here. A ton of action, 8 teams that are on a back-to-back. Let's just get right into it. I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently here. We've got these 12 games, like I said, 8 teams on the back-to-back. I'm going to be going through that. I'm going to be going through some of the injury reports because it's going to be messy. So let's just take a look at what it looks like early on before we even get to Saturday. I'm going to have another video tomorrow for you guys. I'm going to try to do this moving forward, get one early on the night before so I can look at these lines early times with you. Also look at some of the player props that I'm going to be looking for and projections that I have for some of these players, assuming that they play, because these injury reports are obviously not final. Injury reports in the NBA are always final the next day. The day of the game, obviously, and around 12 p.m. local time is when you usually start to get some of the actual news coming out about who's going to be playing in that night's game. So we'll be looking at that stuff tomorrow morning in that second video. And just so you know, the first game is going to be at 12 p.m. Eastern. So don't wake up late tomorrow and get surprised that there's already an NBA game running through its course as you might be waking up from whatever you were doing on Friday night, right? Do want to remind you to like and subscribe to the page. Continue to follow along. I've got some bets I'm already making here, so you want to make sure that you check those out. I'm going to be putting those on social media as well, so follow along there at Land Your Bets on all of the platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, etc., that you guys are following along. So let me run into the key injuries here that we're looking at. So we've already got some guys out for sure. D'Anthony Melton is out for the 76ers. Cam Johnson for the Nets. Gabe Vincent and Cam Reddish are out for the Lakers. Cam Reddish is going to be out for at least a couple weeks. Moses Moody, Gary Payton, and Chris Paul all out for the Warriors there. And then we have Kristaps, who's doubtful for the Celtics. Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris are both questionable for the 76ers, and Anthony Davis is questionable. So is LeBron James. They both always play. They're playing the Warriors on Saturday night. I do believe that they're both going to be in there. Nikola Jokic is also likely to play. He's definitely going to play in this game at home against the 76ers. I don't think he would miss this one. I do think he cares about it. And I'll talk about that one a little bit here as well. But let me run into the first game I'm talking about because it's going to be early on as well. It starts at 12 p.m. on the West Coast out here. It's a 3 p.m. Eastern game for you guys on the East Coast. And you can see I got things done a little bit differently here. The Knicks and the Heat are playing with a pretty low total. It's at 218.5. It's actually gone up a bit. It was bet up from about 214.5 where it opened, 215 or so. And we've got some pretty interesting splits here. The Knicks are 4.5 point favorites. The Knicks are at home, and man, they look like they're gunning for the Eastern Conference Championship big time with the way that they're playing with this new lineup. 10-2 in their last 12 games. I should say 11-2 since they got OG Anunoby in the trade about 13 games ago. They've gone under in 12 of those as well. And you can see here the home versus road stuff for them. They score fewer points at home. They allow way fewer points at home, 104 points per game, one of the best defensive teams in the league. And certainly at home, they've been the best defensive team in the league since this trade went through with OG. And that's even with losing Mitchell Robinson and now potentially Isaiah Hartenstein. I should have him on the questionable list as well. He might not play for the Knickerbockers. He's literally questionable. So it's just totally up in the air for him. And then for the Heat, you can also see they score fewer points on the road and than they do at home. 7 fewer points, 107 points per game on the road versus 114 at home. And the points per game allowed as well. Everything's just a little bit slower for them on the road. Everything's slower for the Knicks at home. And man, these two teams, when they play each other, it is just like 1997 New York Knicks versus Miami Heat basketball, where Alonzo Mourning and Charles Oakley are throwing haymakers at each other's faces. It's kind of without the actual boxing going on nowadays, because these dudes are a little bit more keyboard tough guys, if you will, than the old school guys. But I will say that like this is still a very choppy, slow, kind of nasty style basketball game, to be honest. The Knicks, like I said, have gone under in 12 of the 13 games they played with OG Anunoby. They're 7-1 at home, and they've gone under in 8 straight as well. And the Heat have been the worst offense in the league the last 8 games, and it's tough to watch. It's not really what it is like I just don't see how they're trying. They don't seem to care. I do think they'll care in this game, and to be honest, that does tend to lean towards an under way more when the Heat are actually trying, because when they bring that defense to town, like it's for real, and it's always going to be a game that they care about against the Knicks, even though they're not in the same division anymore the way they used to be. It's still a very good conference rival, and the Knicks are the 4 seed in the East right now, and the Heat are trailing them and trailing the Pacers as well right now. So they definitely want to continue to try in these games. But I like I'm not necessarily, I like the Knicks to cover 5. I think 5 is a big spread against this Heat team, to be honest with you, even if they are that good at home. But the under is a great play here with the way the Knicks, and these two teams have played at a 93 pace. I actually have that here on the next slide. You look at how they've played against each other, a 93 pace in their last 5 games. All of them have gone under 215.5, and that's been raised up since I originally put this together. It's at 218.5 and rising. People apparently, some sharp money coming in on the over on that one. I understand, but at this point, once we get up to about 3-4 points above what it started at, I really start to like that for the under, as I already do like it as much as I can. So like I said here, the way that they're playing against each other, 102 points per game for the Heat in their last 5, and for the Knicks, 98. So we're talking about an average of 200 points per game between these two teams, with some awful shooting splits, some really good defense, and some pretty good reasons to like an under. So that is the first best bet that we have here, under 218.5. If this goes up to 219, 220, I'm still good with it. I'm just going to stick to my guns on everything that I'm seeing here. I know that the Knicks are going to continue to shoot some threes. The Heat have been a very good 3-point defense, and they're going to need to get down low as well with Jay Randall. We'll see if they can stop Brunson, really, because if Brunson goes off against the Heat, then it's the Knicks can score a decent amount of points. But even when Brunson has gone off, this has just been a complete slobber knocker of an affair. So we'll go under in this one. And then look at this Utah Jazz and Charlotte Hornets game, because I do think that the Utah Jazz are in line for a good victory here. It's 9.5 points for them to beat the Hornets. If you want to take the line here, 237.5 is the total. I would lean under, but that Utah defense on the road is so bad. That said, they've got some nice wins as of late on the road. And if you look at the way that they've lost on the road recently, they just got smacked by the Pelicans. Totally get that. I don't bet Pelicans games. I did try to bet that one under, and that one did not go well. But I don't usually bet Pelicans games unless I'm getting out of hand, which I clearly was, because I just don't feel like I have a grasp on that team. I do feel like the Jazz are a team that you can kind of understand right now and project pretty accurately. The last 2 losses on the road here, they lost by 1 to the Rockets, one of the best home teams in the league, and then they lost by a bajillion points to the Pelicans, which we'll just toss that one aside for now. Now we're talking about the Hornets on a back-to-back. And the Hornets on a back-to-back, you can see here in the bottom left, Charlotte, no days rest, 1-5 straight up, 4-2 against the spread. They are losing those games by an average of 15 points a game. So the fact that they're 4-2 against the spread while losing by 15 points a game is actually pretty impressive. It means that these spreads are astronomical when they play against anybody on a back-to-back that's like minus 15, minus 16. They were, I believe, 19-point dogs to the Celtics on a back-to-back. So they just get absolutely pulverized when they play in these situations, allowing nearly 120 points per game, only scoring 104. So, like I said, losing by about 15 points per game, they're getting smacked all the time here when they play these back-to-backs. And it's a different sort of Hornets team. I was talking about it on the live stream today with Kyle and Prop Beaver, as I was on the Kyle Kerm show, the SOAS network on YouTube. And we were talking about how, like, at Utah and the way that they've been playing as of late, like it's pretty impressive. And we've got to continue to roll with them. With Charlotte, it's just a different team now. After the trade, Brandon Miller is just sort of the focal point. LaMelo Ball, I'm not even really sure, is somewhat of I'm not going to say afterthought, but Brandon Miller is pulling right now. And look, LaMelo is still the ball handler. He's still the guy with the ball in his hands predominantly. But it seems like there's a big sort of the priority right now is let's get Brandon Miller the ball. Let's get him some shots. They're not really worried about Miles Bridges. Either way, they're not taking it seriously is really the bottom line. And Utah handled them last season, both times that they played. You can see Charlotte as well. They're just bad everywhere, man, whether they're at home or on the road. They might be a little bit better on defense at home, but that's just saying that they're not giving up 121 there. They're giving up 119. And like I said, Utah averaging about 120 against them the last couple times they played them. So we're going to go ahead and love Utah to actually cover this spread at 8.5, because it is a little bit of a value here on Bet Rivers at 8.5 as opposed to the 9.5 that you're seeing on most books. I also do like them to get their team total. It's about 237.5. So you've got their team total down at about 221-ish they've got to get 121 that they've got to get for their team total here. I do think that's a good bet as well. If I like that one enough when I wake up in the morning and see it that the total hasn't gone too high, then yeah, I'll tell you about the Utah team total in that video as well. But second best bet that I am locking in right now and have a bet on Bet Rivers already here at 8.5 because of that good value might go up on Bet Rivers because, like I said, all the other books in the market has dictated this is pretty much 9.5 right now after opening at 7.5. So we're grabbing that one early. And the last thing I have here for you is a little bit of a lean, but not much yet. Like, we're looking at this Philly and Denver game because this also starts pretty early for Saturday basketball in the NBA anyway. And so we want to make sure that we are monitoring the injuries here because we have Tyrese Maxey, we have Toby Harris, Tobias Harris, who we don't know if they're playing. They're both questionable, as you saw on the opening injury slide here. They're both could play, might not play, and that everything indicates it's 100% up in the air. We actually don't know if they're going to play. It seems like Tyrese Maxey might be a little bit more likely to play, according to some of the beat writers that I follow that are covering this Philly team. But like, either way, they're both up in the air. So I want to know if they're playing. Like, they're second and third best players on this team. As good as Joel Embiid is, he cannot beat this Denver Nuggets team by himself without anybody. He definitely wants Tyrese and Tobias Harris around. Tobias Harris played incredible defense and was really good defending Aaron Gordon the other game as well when they played, and Aaron Gordon did not do much at all in that one. So he's an important player. I can't really do much with this game without knowing. I like Denver at 5.5. Honestly, like, I wish it was a little bit under 5, but I can still see them covering the spread. I'm just baffled by the total. I really lean over in this one because if you look at Denver at home here, 120 points per game. I know that they're better on defense at home too, the way that their defensive rating is anyway, the way that they're playing at home. But at the same time, like, the Philly is scoring everywhere. I don't trust Philly I don't trust Denver to stop Philly, anybody to stop Embiid right now. I mean, he's at 36.5 points as his points prop in this one stays super high. I still think Embiid is going to be dominant against anybody that he plays against, but Jokic and company, so good at home. Won 35 of their last 39 games at home where Jokic is playing. Pretty tough to overcome that, right? And this one seems like it should go over. They tend to go over. Well, excuse me. I should say they tend to go over at Philly. They tend to go under at Denver when they play. And even that's with the one game that Embiid played in Denver that went under. I don't really want to use that as strong reasoning with the way that these two teams are playing offense. Knicks had a good time playing defense against the Nuggets the other night, but Jokic got hurt, came out for a little bit. That was a weird game. This one still seems ripe for points. So 229.5 seems a little bit low for two teams that just scored 247. I'm staying away from the total for now. I'm going to see what happens with Denver. With Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris tomorrow before we make any more solid plays on that one. So that is all the time that I have for you guys in this one. Hope you're at least getting something out of what we're bringing here as we get these videos out to you early. Just going to have a couple more each day. Like I said, get 2 of these a day out to you so that we can look at stuff early and then get these final plays out to you before most of the games start. Look, Washington and Detroit is going to have started by the time this next video gets up, but it will be up in time for you to get the other plays out for those games that start around 3 p.m. since we got these Knicks bets in for you right now as well. All right. Continue to follow along. Subscribe to the page if you would. Like the video. Super helpful. Also have college hoops up, as Oaks has a video for you guys on his channel here on the Land Your Bets Network. But he's got his own playlist here on the channel as well for those college hoops videos. So make sure you check that out. Really good day of hoops. Our guy is up now 7-5 on the lean sheet last week, 3-2 on the best bets, up about half a unit. So we'll continue to truck along with Oaks. And until I see you next, happy betting.